They're so much better at understanding the meaning of life and holistically what really matters as compared to us, and they push us to be better.
Why should the core change? Because as much as you try changing yourself for people, by the time you meet the fifth person in your life, you've even forgotten who you are. Hello, we are here today to discuss something which everybody has been talking about, which everybody wants to talk about, but at times we have a taboo and we have a little fear around us which says, should we talk about it in open? That is wellness in all space. Wellness is not a thought, wellness is a journey. And who better to explain this to me today? I have a friend, colleague, Neha, who's here. Neha, why don't you, for everybody, first introduce yourselves and then I will introduce myself so that they know who is talking about wellness and it's not a sermon session. That's a disclaimer.
Sounds great. Thank you so much, Rajani. You started by saying something so important that it needs to stop being a taboo. It needs to be a part of life. Discussing mental health, talking about wellness. Let me tell you a little bit about myself. My name is Neha Gupta. In my professional life, I work as an HR leader, have been doing that for more than 2 decades. I'm very passionate about inclusion at work. A lot of my work is focused around inclusion, and I think which leads to creating great cultures. I'm very passionate about creating happiness, joy, and purpose at work. I've done a lot of work around gender diversity, and I continue to do so. I'm on a life mission to mentor 50 women in decision making positions. I feel diverse in organizations really make successful workplaces and businesses. And in my personal life, I work a lot with the handloom weavers in really promoting their work. I think we have a rich history of handloom weaving in our country, and that can lead to a good ecological system as well if handlooms are promoted. So that's a little bit about me, Rajni. And why don't you share a little bit about your life and your very rich journey so far?
So cool. My journey has been has not been like full of challenges, but it has been, a journey of full of interesting opportunities. I think what I'm very proud of is the calculated risks I've taken, ensuring that my ethical values are not getting compromised. I work across sectors. I've worked across sectors for last 19 odd years. And in these 19 years, I have consciously never worked with competition. I feel that if I've been giving my heart, soul, lungs out, saying that, this is the best organization in this sector, how
Yeah.
do I go to the other one and, replicate that? So then
Mm.
it becomes a job. For me, a job here, what I do currently at Green Cell is more of a passion. I always tell people that HR job is passion with purpose. And at
So
Green Cell
true.
specifically, we follow that because it's also an ikigai for me. I give back to the society because as a very conscious citizen also, I always feel that it's very easy. We point fingers and we say that, why don't they do this? Why don't this one does that? Why doesn't the government do this? And I just keep pondering and I keep feeding in my 10-year-old also that what is that he is doing? What is that I am doing? Because if I put dry waste in dry waste and wet in wet, I really contribute. That's what got me to Green Cell, an electric vehicle organization. We really want to work on this Viksit Bharat campaign. And yeah, that's a little. And otherwise, any sector which impacts the society at large. So, be it healthcare, I've worked with healthcare, education, be it real estate, providing affordable housing. So, I'd been
Mm.
with one of the organizations which was into this mission. And that is the reason because what you're doing is ultimately touching someone. Personally, in my
Mm.
personal capacity, I'm a big fan of skilling. And for me, skilling is something which should come for everybody. Every
Mm.
talent needs opportunity. So, how
So
do
true.
I give that opportunity? So, I work with a lot of blind children and work on the skill gapping for them, and also students from tier 2 and tier 3 cities who are going to, shape the future, because the hunger and appetite to grow is far more than these pedigree colleges, because they already feel they are arrived. So their unlearning doesn't happen at times. At times. But here,
Amazing.
these children, they do so well. So whether it is, working with the third gender, classified, non-classified, whether working with
Mm.
PWD staff, whether working with retired army people, armed forces people, I just feel, inclusion is something which just bonds human to human, because you give a sense of safe environment to everybody. You give a sense of space to everybody. So, that is what I'm passionate about. And the reason that, why I was so excited having this conversation with you is when I was reading a little bit stuff where you were, talking about inclusion, also diversity. The funny
Mm.
part is that a lot of people abroad feel diversity is more gender. India has become more
Yeah.
evolved. And I always say that.
Yes.
But wellness is a
Yeah.
journey. And whatever we do for wellness is less.
Hmm.
Because if you don't invest in yourself, who's going to invest in you?
So true. So true. So true. I totally agree with you. I think wellness certainly is a journey, and I think that education about wellness being a journey, the fact that it's okay to not be okay and talk about it, it's okay to help others, the fact that it's a part of being holistic selves, that is so important. And it is okay to put your oxygen mask on in all situations in life before helping others. And especially as women, I mean, we spoke about gender, but I think especially as women, it's so important to be okay with that concept, Rajni. You and I have interacted before. Even recently we were, for example, talking about working mothers guilt, that as women we multitask. I sometimes feel that the representation of many Indian goddesses with their 8 and 9 hands comes from just the symbolic representation of women, and them handling multiple things and doing that beautifully in life. So there's a lot of putting on pedestal that happens for working women, and while they carry that with them, there is always that pressure we put on ourselves, that before we applaud for ourselves, before we clap and say, hey, that was a week gone by very well, my children are well fed, my family is taken care of, my work is perfect, like I've done everything to make sure that everybody survives and thrives. We start with a list of criticisms about, these are the 5 things that I could have done better, or the emotional load that we tend to take, even if we have like really supportive partners, and kind of just assume responsibility, while everybody around is telling you not to do that. So I found that very interesting.
Yeah, but don't you feel that, it's always the spouses who get neglected in this whole working mother syndrome? Because what happens is, I know it for a
Oh, yeah.
fact that, when I go in the kitchen also at times, first I'm trying
Mhm.
to try and see that what is my son
Yeah.
going to like and I'm going to make. And then obviously I think that, what he will also like. But at times in this bucket list,
Yeah.
it's the child, it's the work, it's your passion, it's your deliverable, it's everything. But what gets, I always tell my husband, he says, I'm last in your list. I said, you be happy you are in the list. Yet, it's so many things which I have to do.
So true. No, that's funny, but it also shows the kind of companionship that you've developed,
Yeah.
and the fact that you're that shows the comfort that you have from a partner, that they're okay not being prioritized or being the star of the show. That
Yeah.
shows their own maturity, and that shows the maturity of the partnership that you have, Rajni. So
That is
so I think that's
that is seriously, yeah. Because I have personally, whenever I speak with anybody, even at work, we have these series of wellness
um,
chats and all, which I kind of which I do for all my employees. Every
oh,
month
wow.
we talk
Hmm.
about one aspect of wellness, and we try and tell
Hmm.
them that why is it so important. My three
Hmm.
fundamental questions to them is, when you are having a headache, you take a pill. When you feel ampugish, you just don't eat. When you don't
Yeah.
feel all right, why don't you shut down? When you just feel
Correct.
that, today I don't want to do anything, why are you forcing yourself to work? Because you are neglecting that something is wrong with your system. And before it just collapses, why are you doing that? And a lot of times employees have come back saying that we used to have a program when you could just go on the app, speak to a
Hmm.
counselor. You'll be surprised, a lot of times people said that, I'm not mad. And I wanted to tell them, you shouldn't have to be mad to go to a counselor. A counselor is who? He
So
or
true.
she is somebody who is not judgmental about you, because you don't want to be judged.
Yeah.
You just want to be heard. At
True
times,
that.
you just want an outlet
True that.
where I am just talking, talking,
Yes.
talking. Maybe that talking just releases all the pressure, all the energy, and you can start afresh. I've personally, at the time when I was trying to get married, and I'm very vocal about it, I felt that, I was coming from a family where my everything was around my father, mother, my brothers, my family. So, I really felt that,
Yeah. Yeah.
do I have the capacity and capability to love somebody at par with them, forget more, and how will I manage?
Yeah.
I had a lot
Yeah.
of strain and stress. So if you speak to married friends, they will say, "Arey, kuch nahi hota, everything is fine. You guys, you just go with the flow." Easy said, then done. If you're speaking to family, they'll be like,
True
"Oh
that.
my God, don't change your decision." For us, they've already tried to play the victim card there. But when you go to a counselor, like I
So
did,
true.
she
Yeah.
explained me so
Yeah.
well. She said, "Why would you want to get married?" And I said, "I think I will need some partner at some point of time. That's why I'm getting married. But I'm getting married because he's my friend." So, they said that then that's it.
Hmm.
When it's a friend, friend is a mirror. Friend will
That's
say
it.
when you're
Yeah.
bad, friend will say when you're good. So just go
Yeah.
ahead with that. So, that was so much of a comfort, maybe that one session. But trust me, Neha, for a lot of years, I couldn't tell this to people because they would be like, "Arey,
Yeah.
shadi se pehle anybody goes to a counselor. What? Are you doubting the guy? Are you doubting this?" So, wellness
Exactly.
is all about what you want to do, and it can be any phase of your life.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Rajni. Thank you for sharing that. I think that was really valuable, really meaningful. And I hope people who are listening to this find value in the fact that going to a counselor or going to a therapist is it's not dependent on the fact that something is wrong in your life. And I want to share my own personal experience and an anecdote in terms of how sometimes even as uh, you know uh, the definitions
Mhm.
we have for ourselves saying, hey, I've achieved so much, or I'm a people professional, or I'm a coach. So you kind of have all these labels for yourself, and without thinking that you may need help as well, right? So the last time I went to a counselor was when I was 17, 18 years old, and I was going through just some of my first time relationship issues, and it was my own mother who who is a nutritional doctor herself, who encouraged me to go to a counselor and speak, and said, look,
Wow.
as a mother, I may not have the best judgment always, and you as a child may also still in your teens not really always want to tell me everything, so go to a counselor. Cut to 20, 23 years since, I think in COVID, I spent a lot of time as a daughter, daughter-in-law, wife, mother, as an HR leader, try to provide all the support that I can to everybody, and didn't realize how
Mm.
I'm slowly
Oh,
sort of losing the steam somewhere, and something is getting amiss. And it was only last year when I had to go through a major surgery of the knee. Some physical complications happened, that it
okay.
was in a very humbling moment that I realized that staring into a blank saying, I need a therapist, I need a counselor. And very lucky to have a partner who's again a friend, who then came back and didn't say, "I told you so," who just smiled and held my hand and he said, "I'm glad you finally think you do." And just having, I think, going to a therapist, going to a counselor, talking to them, um, really made such a big difference in realizing that, be it medicines or be it therapy or be it activities, we all need it sometimes. And that's when I think my first trip to a therapist also was full of guilt. Let me just say that, to say, "I'm sorry it's taken me so long," or "I know a lot of this stuff." And, I was just rambling through it. And, she just calmed me down and she said, "You know what, Neha, doctors need doctors as well." And that was such an aha moment, Rajni.
Yeah.
And I think just personally knowing that going to a therapist is as okay as going to a physician from time to time or getting your blood work from time to time has changed my perspective at work as well.
Yeah.
When you're holier than thou at work and thinking about, "I'm going to do this all for people because it matters," versus saying, "I have a personal experience as well. I've been humbled enough." Something shifts in you. And in fact, that's one of the things I wanted to ask you. You've spoken about such amazing body of work, be it around, the work in the blind school or inclusion, and then you've worked in such environments. I mean, not just Green Cell, but your previous organizations. It's been across domains and stuff. Like, when you work in this competitive environment in corporate, how do you make space for inclusion? How do you make space for psychological safety? And how do you make sure you align leadership in a way that they appreciate these things or have a space, hold space for these things while they're kind of growing the business, Rajni? What are some of the tricks in your bag?
One trick is that whosoever has worked with me has come back saying that,
Yeah.
I have a very strong women in HR. A lot of times cynically, because it's your opposite gender bosses. A lot of time, our own gender people who say that, they are not able to digest that you are not an echo, you're a voice in yourself. And it gets difficult.
Yeah.
Trust me, it gets difficult. What is important is that I particularly use inclusion
Mhm.
as, how this is going to become more productive for them. So I use a
Right.
business language for them. I tell them that, if you hire more
Hmm.
women, then these more women are going to add this compassion element to it. So you are not going to be, a when because I'm a P backed organization, then I try and explain them that the investors will know that you're doing something beyond the scope of your routine work, and then you will get aligned to it. Because what happens is, like I
Yeah.
said in the beginning, every talent needs opportunity, but you also need to know where do they fit. Just don't get them because you need them for a purpose. What is the purposefulness for them?
Yeah.
And inclusion in
True.
every organization of mine has been a crazy journey. First 1 year, I've
Hmm.
only invested in talking about it, making
Yeah.
everybody understand that this is not paranormal. This is just normal. If you're not talking about it, that is where the problem is. Second thing, what
Correct.
is the value? What is the value proposition they add to you? Third,
Hmm.
obviously, it comes with a cost because you are hiring somebody who's not used to be doing that work, especially blue collared.
Hmm.
You're giving an opportunity to
Hmm.
somebody. So, if you are a business which is just doing business and does not want to leave a legacy, inclusion is not for you, diversity is not for
Yeah.
you, wellness is not for you.
Yeah.
But if you are a business which wants to leave a
So true.
legacy, which wants to leave a footprint for somebody to come back and say that, wow, they stand for something. They do a lot of work for something. Then, so it also is very top driven. It is very top driven that what is the overall
So true.
ethos of your organization. I have consciously
Correct.
90% chosen organizations where people have said, oh, they are great employers. They really take care of
Hmm.
people. Or by design, I made them into one. Where I had to make them into one, there was a
Right.
lot of force, there was a lot of chatting, talking, aligning, also trying to tell them that, this will give comfort to people who you work with. If there is a blend of gender, There's a lot
Yeah.
of safe environment feeling for everyone. Like I'm talking to you. It is such a comforting feeling. We spoke about it the other day where, I said, we're not going to be talking about anything. We'll only talk about what we love. But this is a
Yeah.
relaxation. This is rejuvenation because we are not talking about numbers. We're not talking about pleasing somebody in a broad room. We're not talking about being judged that, have we done well for this year or no? Because I know
So true. Agree. Agree.
it's
No,
also very,
absolutely. I Go on.
yeah. So it's absolutely, it becomes also very critical at times.
Hmm.
You, Haraya. Neha, actually, when you asked me that, is it an easy journey? It's not. Is it a
Yeah.
journey in itself? Yes, it is. Because what happens is when you talk to people, when you are trying to tell people that this is what I stand for, inclusion, diversity, they should not take it as my personal agenda. It is more of an
Correct.
organizational agenda, and it is something which is coming from the top. So, what really holds metal at that point of time is your conviction. Don't give up.
So true.
So, like I was sharing, that first 1 year just goes in
Hmm.
building consensus and atmosphere to even take that first person on board and say the person has come through merit, not because he's a diversity candidate, whether it's a
Sure.
woman,
Yeah.
LGBTQ, or, a PWD staff. The highlight is merit if it doesn't get compromised. The cost can get compromised up and down. But if merit is not
So true.
compromised, I think the journey becomes easier. I do,
Correct.
you would also have, but I do also kind of earmark some roles, not because these don't need equal stature or something, because every time we misunderstand equality as physical equality. So, can I lift 100
Yeah.
kgs? No. Can a weightlifter lift 100 kgs? A man or woman can. But in corporate, what are we asking for? We are asking for cerebral equality. It's not too much to
Hmm.
ask for. We are
So
saying
true.
that I want to be run equal because I think if you become a CEO at 32, people say, wow. And if I become a CEO being a woman, and trust me, this has happened with me, people have asked, how did you manage? How could you achieve
Hmm.
it? Why that
Hmm.
differentiation for me? Maybe I also did
So
it
true.
because I had the merit. And
So true.
a lot of times our success is taken that, women's success is easier. It's not easier. Actually, it's difficult. There's so
Yeah.
many times, from a boardroom, it's such an
Yeah.
isolated space because you may be one or maybe two. Right now, where I'm talking from, I am the only one in that boardroom.
Hmm.
And, at
Hmm.
times it's overwhelming. We're emotional
Hmm.
people. I go back,
Agree.
I genuinely wash my face. I really do I use a lip tint and I just come out at that time smiling, saying that, bring it on. I'm there.
And that's courage as well, Rajni. I think I would say that's courage as well, and that needs to be applauded. Um, India still is a country where women are one of the most underrepresented people in the formal workplace. I mean, the unpaid labor burden that we carry as a society, the women in our society carry so much. And I think the fact that wellness is not understood at workplaces, let alone be celebrated, the importance of it is because uh, women are, or half of the society, a certain amount of energy is underrepresented in the workplaces. Number one, we teach our boys, or we have been teaching our boys in the society, to not cry, to suck it up, to
Yeah.
say, just be okay with the way things are, toughen up. And then they are the ones that we encourage for them to be the ones who are present in boardrooms and leadership positions. So that defines our culture. And then we ask women leaders somehow assume, like, put responsibility on them, and women assume it to bring about the other side, which is to say, hey, if wellness is not accepted at work, it's not celebrated at work, if it's not okay for people to talk about the softer aspects of being fully present, of being happy creatures, of being meaningful creatures, then that again, it's a double whammy. Then you sort of get
Correct.
labeled as being the one who's talking about the metrics that don't matter, but they don't matter because there's a huge amount of leadership that probably they themselves have not gone on a journey of wellness, of self-healing, of understanding what true success is, long-term success is. They are focused on here and now. So in a way, it's the system that fails wellness. And what I have realized, I think, in my role as a in life, different roles in life, is that vulnerability has really helped, number one, in making it okay. So I talk very openly about the fact that sometimes more than I need to the fact that I have a therapist, the fact that I work as a coach, the fact I work as a mental health first aider. And if it's awkward for someone, that's okay. But many a times people will just sort of make faces at it in a public space or not say anything. Leaders, that too. And personally, they will come back and say, hey, can you give the number and someone needs help and so on and so forth. So it's a bit of a quiet movement where I think the roles that we can play as individuals really helps. I've talked about my journey, many things in my journey which others may not find very settling to talk about. Be it the journey of me being a vitiligo patient for the longest period of my life, and what I went through. Doing like how did I sail through that journey, for instance, and it's not from a point of view of hey, look at the struggle. It's from a perspective of saying we all carry scars, we all carry journeys which have been difficult, where we've been put down and we've emerged better from it. So let's just embrace it, and let's make it okay for others to be vulnerable at work as well. So psychological safety, I sometimes think leaders also need that safe space,
Yeah.
somebody to just tell them, somebody to heal that inner child and say it's okay if you have, certain parts of your journey which make you vulnerable, but that doesn't take away from your toughness, that doesn't take away from your authority, from your power. It's still a part of you, and you can very gracefully embrace it.
I really want to share one example with you. There was this colleague
Yeah,
of mine. I was told that, is on a sabbatical, and I took it as a challenge to speak to that person, help, and see that if, that person can come
yeah,
back. Honestly, one of my very dear friends now. I keep telling all my colleagues, my friends, my employees, the financial need will always be there. But what if you are only not there? What will you do with this?
so true.
You coming to
My
work
God, that's
and you just collapse. What will happen? Why to reach that stage where that plug gets pulled off and the body says, hey, you shut down? So
yeah,
there are these small, small alarms, and you need to just feel that, what do you do? In our space today at Green Cell, we introduced a program with Brahma Kumaris for
yeah,
our coach captains, our drivers. Because when
awesome.
you're driving on the road, you can control the
Yeah.
wheel, but the road
Hmm.
and the people crossing the road are not in your control.
You're not.
Why are people so angry, anxious? They
Hmm.
may say,
Hmm.
I want to start cut to cut. I will
Hmm.
just, it's okay. I will make in time. We don't
Hmm.
plan. If you plan that a little well, then you'll not get so distressed. No, I'm running late. I'm running
So
late. Then they're anxious. Then they start shouting. Then they start honking. And
absolutely.
I just always tell everybody keep a 15-minute buffer, even with the worst of
Hmm.
traffic. And if it is late, you are late. You are late. What can you do about it? So
What
just
can you do
chill.
about it?
Just
Exactly.
leave that,
Yeah.
now what? Now what? I think all this problem, at least what I have dissected for myself first and others, is the whole problem is I am very conscious what this other person is going to think about me. How am I going to
Yeah.
be judged by them? It's like, it's
Yeah.
like your bodies, na? See, as Indians, everybody you meet in your friend circle or your relatives, they say, Arey I have been seeing you after a long time. You've lost weight. You've gained weight. You have done this, you've
Yeah.
done that. Arey, just ask me
Yeah.
how I am, you
How I
know?
am. So
And then
true.
this weight, body shaming becomes so important that when you are wearing a dress, you're trying a
Yeah.
dress, you are not seeing how you look in it. You try and see, where is that bulge? How do I hide it?
True.
Is it a love handle? How do I really cover it up? Am I, is it looking odd? You don't say, am I looking good? Is it looking odd? So it's so engraved, it just starts from there. I I genuinely have been through a crazy dietary journey after my pregnancy.
Sure.
I'd become 100
Right.
to reach back to a
Yeah.
58, 60. You know,
Right.
I was so happy with myself then also. I used to take
Hmm.
an XXL, I used to wear, I used to be, and at times my spouse says, you were so much, you were so confident that time. What happened?
Um,
What
uh,
happened? You're losing that
uh,
charm. You're losing that little thing. Where are the cheeks gone? But it's
uh,
not about being fat, slim, anything. I just think it's the journey of being comfortable with your own skin. I want to be
so true.
fit so that I can play with my child. I want to be fit so
Yeah.
that I don't start on a medical journey faster. So, but
Agree.
people will say, oh, you've changed so much. I'm sure you also feel
No, for
that and
sure.
you've been through that.
Absolutely, Rajni. In fact, I'm smiling at so many things that are uncannily similar to what you talked about the weight loss journey. I've been through it as well. Not for once for me, this was a journey of weight loss. For me, it was a journey towards fitness. It was a journey
Yeah.
towards seeing how flexible my body can be. How does it respond to different things? So the comments didn't matter, and some of that is, I think, life experience of having looked different from others as a vitiligo survivor. But comments didn't matter, and then compliments
Yeah.
didn't matter. And I
Yeah.
am always so grateful to that older 96 kg self, because that Neha is the one who transformed into this one. And she was
Correct.
super happy. She dressed, she danced she danced off the way she wanted to, and she decked up, and she cried, she laughed, she did everything that this Neha does. So there is no difference other than maybe the age and the experience that has gotten added. And gratitudes really helped me not really worry about what anyone thinks. Like I do get comments saying, "Kitna duble ho gaye ho, thoda to
Yeah.
वजन तुमको gain," which is fine. And I was like, you're the same person who had a very different advice. Like it didn't matter then, it didn't matter, it doesn't matter now. But I wish now, if you ask my 44-year-old self, that one advice that I can give to, let's say, younger people out there, I would just say, just go faster on a journey of self acceptance.
Yeah.
Don't wait for too long. Don't look for validation. I think the child in us remains there. We still look for parents and people that we need subconsciously, and look for acceptance, look for validation. And it's a bit like
Mm.
you're your own parent. So stop looking for that in anyone. Just be okay with who you are.
Yeah, and
Right?
I so much, like you said, I always tell if
Yeah.
somebody asks me that, how are you so enthused about
Hmm.
everything you're doing? Why is
Yeah.
this energy even at the fag end of the day? Because you're loving what you're doing. Because you have to fall in love with whatever
Oh
little
God.
things you're doing. Because at times, life's not been that easy that, you get
Yeah.
what you love. But the
So true.
art and the science is behind you falling in love with what you're doing currently, because this current is so important.
So true.
We love ourselves the way we are. We don't seek
Yeah.
validations. We don't seek
Yeah.
validations not because we are arrogant. We don't seek validations because we realize that this is the core us. And why should the core change? A woman, a man,
True.
anybody. Why should the core change?
True.
Because as much as you try changing yourself for people, by the time you meet the fifth person in your life, you've even forgotten who you are, because you're just
Who
being
you
so
are.
gullible, trying to attend onto their needs, that you've forgotten what you like.
Hmm.
And that is
So
why,
true.
like as a trick, I always tell everybody that for the wellness trick also, that once in a week, order for yourself, order food for
Yeah.
yourself. Pick up things for
Yeah.
yourself. Why? Because there was a time when I wanted to order in a restaurant, and you can't believe it. For 15 minutes, I was blank. I was eating alone because
Hmm.
my spouse was delayed. He said, I'll be joining. Neha, after so many years of marriage, I forgot what I like. I just forgot.
Right.
I was so
Agree.
used to
Yeah.
that maybe he's a more healthy eater and and I love pizzas. But I just felt every time we are trying to say, because we are both poor eaters or frugal eaters, we were saying that,
Hmm.
we will just order something. And it was not that he told me, it is the me who
Yeah.
just becomes the victim instead of the hero of my
Correct.
story and say,
Yeah.
Arey, we'll just order this, yeah. I mean, like, two of us will eat. Might as well order something which you like. And we just go
So true.
constantly on that ride. So consciously now,
Correct.
at least a month, 15 days, I try and order something for myself because that was an alarm in my head. I was like, how can I not
Yeah.
know what I like to eat? I mean, think of it. Being a
I
foodie,
agree.
I just felt that. So wellness is in
Yeah.
every sphere. It's every sphere is how people treat you. And
Mhm.
so many times at work, you would have also experienced people think women cry because they're weak. They forget that men
Hmm.
shout because that's their way of
Yes.
outlay. And
Correct.
this differentiation that when a woman
Yeah.
shouts, she's so aggressive. When a man
Yeah.
cries, he's so weak. These are these
That's so true.
blocks which people have created. Men can also cry, women
Absolutely.
can also shout. And just today,
Yeah.
somebody said, my BOD said that, you are aggressive and it's good. I was like, yeah, I want to be aggressive because I don't want to let anybody
Yeah.
take charge of my life. Anybody.
Yeah.
And,
No, for sure.
because it's my life, no, I'm responsible. I
Agree.
have done what I'm doing to it. So I don't want, when I'm in a doubt also, when I'm in a fix, I
Yeah.
don't seek advice. I go by my
Yeah.
gut so that I don't blame anybody
Yeah.
later on. That boss, I have
Yep.
taken, okay, he or she told me and that's why I did it. I want to be accountable for my life
Hmm.
all through.
सही बात है
You've seen,
and
no, so many
that's
times
ownership.
at work. Yeah. And you must have seen so many
True.
examples at your workplace also, because you being a coach also, people would come back and say, nah, I'm getting bullied. What do I do? How do you deal with
Hmm.
that?
I think first of all, it's so profound. I'm going to make a note of that somewhere. What you said that when women shout they're aggressive and when men cry they are weak. These are the stereotypes that we have built. But
Yeah.
but you're right. I think taking charge of your life and ownership so important. And people come back and work and when they talk about the fact that they're being bullied. First of all, I think for true bullying, my two mantras in work life, Rajni, are when I see people having performance challenges in any organization I've been through, I tell the leaders, the managers, or even for myself, saying go to the ends possible that you can to help a person get better on performance, and it could be for behavior as well. But when
Yeah.
you see a challenge with intent, right
Oh,
from hiring to that is something, be clinical about it. Make the
yeah.
cut as soon as possible. Intentions, when they are not really right, they create a lot of damage. So when something doesn't feel right, you've got to cut it right there rather than putting up with it. And I think the second thing is just having a zero tolerance policy. Any organization that I've been to, I have been very explicit in my interviews, discussions, first set of interactions with people, saying I truly love respect in the organization. And what you give is what you're going to get back. And I
Of course.
think that really works well. Uh,
Yeah.
and then if there then if there is bullying, I think I'm also going to take that leaf from your playbook, which is about that. How do you sort of make people accountable? How do you tell them that you don't have to seek permission? So I practice a lot of flexibility at work for my colleagues, for my team, for my people. But that's something which is a bit of mantra that you've given me today, which is about how do you ensure that there is accountability? How do people not have to worry about seeking permission or reaching out to others in terms of dealing with what they're dealing with? Like, how do you give more courage back to the organization, Rajni? But I think, yeah, uh, during people's lives and journeys in the in the space, I've come across organizations that can be which where founders could be extremely hierarchical. Then there are people, founders, promoters, leader, who are very, very democratic, and I think they play a huge role in leading the culture. Whosoever the top leaders, as you said, that it is top down, but then sometimes you come across rainmakers who just bring about that shift. It could be a question in a town hall, which suddenly makes leaders think. It may be coming from the new Gen Xers. It may be coming from folks who are very, very new, or freshers, as we call them, and then it brings about a bit of a shift if they are ready to listen, or it can trigger them. And how they go on their career journeys in organizations like that, those who are disruptors, those who are rainmakers, those who have the courage to ask the right kind of questions, I think that says a lot about the culture of an organization. That how do we treat those who don't want to mince their words, or who want to ask difficult questions. Uh,
Correct.
but I've always found it tricky
Absolutely.
to create career journeys for them, Rajni. How have you ensured that these voices are always heard in like a variety of organizations, and especially hierarchical ones, and the fact that they don't get shot down in their career journeys, I guess.
No, so the fundamental rule for you to
Mm.
get anything in life, uh,
Hmm.
obviously, nothing is easy. It just doesn't come.
Hmm.
But I think people, I always tell them, you're responsible for your careers, you're responsible for yourself. And once you take the responsibility, the biggest weapon in hand, the biggest ammunition in hand is the word help. Call for help.
Yeah.
It's the bravest thing to
Yeah.
do. And if you call
So
for
true.
help, whether it's your manager, whether it's your HR, whether it's your colleague, you will find your calling. You will find space, you will find answers, because at times, or most of the times, you would not know
Hmm.
everything. And the
Yeah.
day you have accepted that you're not know it all, and at the same time, you are somebody who can ask for help without any pride involved in it. And
Hmm.
uh, and I think that becomes uh, the fundamental, shield around saying that,
So
this
true.
person's so brave. In my
Yeah.
organization, I have, not just this, previous ones also, I have always insisted celebrate failures. Tell
Yeah.
people, tell
Yeah.
people that
Yeah.
I want to do so much. I did not
Yeah.
succeed. And like, because this I've learned from my father. He told me that, Thomas Edison says that I'm so happy. So many people, said no, or they mocked at me, or they said this is not right. Because at the end of the day, I knew so many ways electricity couldn't be made. So,
Correct.
that approach, that shift, that nobody is pointing at you. See, outcome is important. We're working in an organization,
True.
we are there for delivery, but you can't
So true.
negate effort. So, even your performance
So true.
management, if it has an effort tracker with a
Yeah.
performance outcome, as a business,
So
you
true.
must not have delivered, but not that just does not mean that everybody did not perform. What was your role?
So
Could you do everything which you could do? And where did it then miss? And I always insist on shared goals, 3, 4 goals being
yeah.
shared goals across the organization. So that also gives accountability. That also gives them
Yeah.
that space. And they also feel very safe because I'm not the one who's going to be coined or pointed at this. I have
Yeah.
I have a group of people. We are all
Hmm.
responsible and
Hmm.
empowerment, how much you
Hmm.
feel. At times leaders say, I empower my people. And then they will check with you. I gave you something yesterday. Have you done it? That's not
Correct.
empowerment. You're checking,
That's
checking,
an
checking.
empowerment. Yeah.
Empowerment is you gave this person this job, set a timeline, and just couple of days before the timeline or hours before the timeline, say, do you need help? What is
Yeah.
your element of effort there? Then the person will
So
feel safe to tell you to be delivered, yet in progress, or delivered. If the
so
person feels this is not my job and this is delegated to me only. See,
correct.
we don't like taking anybody else's burden, right?
Yeah.
We always want to lift our own packets. So, how
Yeah.
many people volunteer to take people's packets? It's not necessary. The senior citizen packets, I'm not asking. Somebody who's just struggling. Are you even asking for help or, offering help? So, help is a big change agent there. I feel that can help,
So true.
anyone.
I think so well said. I think you're right. People need permission to fail, and if they don't have it, then innovation will not happen. And that comes from leaders having the courage to delegate and let go. It's so
Right.
important to let go, thinking everything is your
Yeah.
problem. And again, it comes back to wellness. It comes back to how much. What's your self dialogue? How much are you in touch with your own self? What is that you're telling you that success means? What is your true purpose? And I was just trying to look for something. What you said triggered it. My aunt used to say this, who I'm very inspired by. She's an entrepreneur at 70,
Wow.
started becoming one at 65. um, and she used to say, गिरते हैं शह सवार मैदाने जंग
Amen.
में, वो तिफ़्त क्या गिरेगा जो घुटने के बल चले, which it
Right.
simply means that it's only the warriors who will fall
Yeah.
in the battleground, right? Not a baby who's just toddling across. So there's a lot to be said about, I think, yeah, just giving people the space to innovate. Okay for them to fail so they can again get up and create something new for you. That's how innovation happens. That's how disruption happens, and that's how you create space. And that's the reason wellness is not a good to have thing to make people better. That is inherent part of the journey, and I think it's so important.
Yeah.
Cool.
And yeah, on that note, when I'm sure you would have also experienced it. I have experienced a lot of times when I'm talking about wellness. A lot of people initially used to come back saying that, uh, maybe your life was easier. You don't know what my story was. And I always tell everybody, it's your story. Choose. You want to play the victim, you want to play the hero. I want to play
So
the
true.
hero all the time. I don't want to be the
Yeah.
victim. And I
Yeah.
can choose to say that, maybe I had this challenge, that challenge. There can't be any perfect life. Something is missing. And that's what life is all about, fixing that
Yeah.
piece which is missing. But running behind to make it
Yeah.
complete will not
Yeah.
help you because there is no chase. Because while you're chasing, you're just forgetting that there's so many beautiful things in the journey which you've just missed. You're just not looking
And
at. And that's why it's very important for, as organizations, as responsible organizations, that we
yeah.
invest in wellness. I always tell them a happy employee is a more productive employee. A happy employee is
So
a more
true.
efficient employee. So there is an ROI to it. If I'm so
There is
sad
an
and I
arrow.
just lift my bag and I say, I have to go to work, you know how it is. I will
Sure.
not deliver 100. If I'm not delivering 100, which I could have delivered, the organization is not reaching 100, which it could have reached. So, rather, I am charged to go. I like going. So, I'm delivering 100. The organization will get 110 because so many hundreds will make it 110. And
So true.
then there is good business, good stakeholder management, and so much more. One of my organizations, we had created a people mission: happy customers, happy shareholders, and happy employees. Because these are the happiness quotients. Everybody needs to feel so light, so grateful for this journey which we have. Because the end, if the starting of my wellness journey is to identify I need help, the end should be I have gratitude. And if I have
Yeah.
gratitude for whatever I have, I will be less at chaos and more at peace with what I have. Because today, because of
Hmm.
lack of gratitude, somebody else doing well is giving me issues in my wellness because I could have done it better. But I don't realize that, dude, you started from point A. I'm starting from point B. So, and maybe Neha starts from point C. How can our journeys be same? It won't be. So, how can the outcome be same? I may become a
So true.
millionaire at X age. You may become at Y. But is that the happiness quotient which can give you happiness? A lot of people say, yeah, money gives me happiness. I said, money gives you channels to be happy. Why you need it? To spend more time, to travel. So what is giving you happiness is travel, spend more time with family, have the luxury of picking up something without checking the price tag. So money is not giving you happiness. Money is the channel, and it will follow.
Yeah, it's a
It
means
will
to an
follow.
end, right? Sure, no, absolutely. It's a means to an end, and I feel Rajni. I mean, props to Gen Z. I would say at least as a millennial, they're so much better at understanding the meaning of life and
Yeah.
holistically what really matters as compared to us, and they push us to be better managers and leaders at this stage of life and really rethink our own priorities. So and maybe I feel I know we've this is such an engaging discussion, and for some reason it just feels like the beginning of a series of things. It doesn't feel like it's the
Yeah.
end, but I'm conscious of the time, and that's the reason I think one question that I have out of all the amazing insights you've shared is what is that one leadership insight or takeaway that has always stayed with you and you believe will always stay with you in life?
So the only leadership, insight I probably discovered, rediscovered with all these hit and trials was
Yeah.
that I am the best version of myself. And what I can do, you may replicate, but you can't do it that same way. So even, even if I am just addressing, I am the way I address, you can't address. You may address better, but you can't address because in you, I will be missing. So my I is very
Oh,
important.
love that.
So
I love
that's my
that.
thanks. But that's my only, that's what I tell everybody. I said so a lot of times, younger team members, they will come and say, you know, uh, I would want to speak, maybe at times like you. And I said, why? Why? Maybe when you speak, you may mark a sense of emotion, sense of pride, sense of just connect. Maybe
Mm.
I don't have all the three. I have three. I may not have three. And even if
Yeah.
you think I do it good, you practice and you'll become the best version of yourself. So, and when they do it, no, and you see it, it's such a HR is such a motherly thing, no. Whether a
Yeah.
man is doing it, whether a woman is doing it, you just feel that wow, they've grown so well. And you are so true. The millennials have, the new Gen Z, they just have it right. They ask you,
Yeah.
you have hybrid, so I work for you. You leave
Yeah.
early, on time, flexibility, I work. We think they are demanding. No, they are in complete command of themselves and their lives.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Hmm. No, completely agree.
And what
I
is
think
your leadership insight? How do you see leadership? And because we are so similar, that's why I'm asking. When
yeah.
the more we discuss, the more we talk, I just feel,
Yeah.
that it's like, I'm writing to my diary. He's throwing
No,
back.
oh my God, yes, it's uncanny. I think the feeling is absolutely mutual and it's uncanny. My leadership insight is just constantly create authenticity. I think
Wow.
break these corporate molds, just bring more realism into corporate, make it similar to life. So people don't have to wear masks anymore when they come to work. That's just a bit of thing that I want to live my life by, Rajni.
Wow, that's so beautiful. We had done a service excellence campaign where we said that,
Yeah.
you have a role to play, but don't
Yeah.
forget, you are the actor. So,
You are, yeah.
if
Yeah.
that I, like I said, is intact, we do so much better. And I really hope that, if anybody, any one of the people listening to this could connect with it, could find their own calling, uh,
So true.
I just feel that, it'll be so much nicer. It'll be so much
Mm.
brighter because the world becomes brighter because all of us are there
Oh,
with so many
yeah.
uniqueness. And if it was not for us, it wouldn't have been so bright.
100%. 100% nicer and brighter. On that note, I just want to say thank you, Rajni. You have been so vibrant. You have such energy, positivity, and language of possibilities around you. I am certainly leaving the conversation on a high. I know this is going to be a weekend where I'm going to keep people around me so engaged. So big thank you to you
No,
for
big
all
thanks
that
to you,
you've said.
because at times what you're saying, uh, it comes back as, it comes
Right.
back as a wave, but when it comes back as an echo, that you feel that there is somebody else who's, thinking like you, maybe similar,
So
unlike me, but similar in your own way, you just feel that you're not doing it so bad, huh? You're good. You're just there. You're just there and you can do
yeah,
it so much better. Thank you. Big heart, big heart, big heart. And thank you.
big
I
heart.
really hope whoever's listening, they should drop in comments and say that, whether they liked it, they didn't like it. So, thank you.
Here's hoping indeed. Thank you so much.
Thanks.